Hello chess fans! A very important part to improve at chess is having a good understanding about patterns. Here in this video I will show you 10 mating patterns every chess player should know by heart. Let's get into it. Number 1. Scholar's Mate. The first mate you should know, which is also an opening trap, to avoid falling for it, is the Scholar's Mate. Most players probably know this one because they have lost a game to it, but in case you don't know, here's how it works. After e4, e5, bishop c4, knight c6, queen h5, bishop c5, and queen takes f7 mate. This trap can also be reached by other move orders, but here's an example. As I said in a previous video, I'm not a fan of any opening traps, so I would strongly advise against you playing any. However, you need to know how to defend against them, so here's how to review the Scholar's Mate. The easiest way to defend against the mate is here to block the queen with g6. And if it goes to f3, hitting f7 again, you can just play knight f6. And now your opponent has wasted multiple tempi for an attack that didn't work. The name Scholar's Mate originated from Francis Beale's book, The Royal Game of Chess Play, which was published in 1656 and is a translation and adaptation of Greco's Italian manuscript, which featured the opening trap named Scholar's Mate, but spelled a bit differently than the modern version. Since the opening is only really used on beginner level, it makes sense to call it like that. Number 2. Lawnmower Mate. This is one of the basic endgame mates everybody should know. For this mate, you need 2 rooks or 2 queens. It can also be mixed, but the mate is most common with 2 rooks. It works like this. You slowly push the king to the edge of the board to then deliver checkmate. But be careful if the king gets too close to the rooks. To avoid a rook getting captured, just move it to the other side of the board. And continue delivering checks there. And if you are checkmating with 2 queens, you also need to be careful, because stalemates like this can happen. The mate has multiple different names: lawnmower mate, ladder mate, or more seldom rook roller mate. All those names come most probably from the characteristic of moving up row by row to deliver checkmate. Number 3. Back rank mate. This checkmate can happen when one king is closed behind its own pawns and the back rank is undefended. You can also deliver this checkmate with either a queen or a rook. If it was white to move in this position, he could also checkmate with queen e8. This is also why players often play h3 or h6 earlier in the game, to give the king an escape route. The name of this mate is pretty self-explanatory. Number 4. Lolly's Mate. The Lolly's Mate involves a strong pawn placed in the opponent's castled position and a queen ready to attack, and looks like this. This can happen when the opponent has fianchettoed the bishop and then traded it off. The name of the mate comes from the Italian chess master Giambattista Lolli, who mentioned the pattern in his book published in 1763. Number 5. Balestra Mate. This checkmate is delivered with a bishop and a queen, where the queen blocks the escape squares of the king and the bishop delivers checkmate. The balestra mate is named after the Italian fencing term balestra, which translates to crossbow or a sudden forward lunge, and was seemingly used to distinguish it from the very similar Boden's Mate. Number 6. Legal's Mate. Another opening trap. Here white sacrifices the queen for the mate. After the moves e4, e5, bishop c5, knight c6, knight f3, d6, knight c3, bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, white can now play knight takes e5. This sacrifices the queen, but if black takes it, bishop takes f7, king e7, and knight d5 is mate. This is a very pretty mate. Even though it seldom happens, it's good to know the pattern. Here, to avoid getting mated, black should take knight takes e5. After queen takes h5, knight takes c4, queen b5, c6, queen takes c4, white regains the piece and is a pawn up. But still, better than losing the game for black. The trap was named after a French chess master who famously used the trap in 1750. It is also sometimes called the Blackburn's trap or cicadette mate. Number 7. Smothered Mate. This is also a very cool mating pattern, where the opponent's king gets caged in by its own pieces and then gets mated by a knight. Here in this position, white can play knight h6. Now the king has to go to the corner, and now the main move of the checkmate, queen g8. White sacrifices the queen. Black has to take, And now his king is caged in, and we can play knight f7, which is checkmate. But when executing this mate, be careful when sacrificing the queen. It needs to be protected. Otherwise, the king can just capture, and now the mate doesn't work anymore. The mate was first featured in Lucina's book from 1497, and the name smothered mate first appeared in the book we talked about earlier from Francis Beale. Number 8. Anastasia's mate. This checkmate is executed with the rook and a knight, or queen and knight, where the knight protects two of the escape squares, and one of the king's own pawns protects the other one, and the heavy piece, in this case the rook, delivers the checkmate. Here is what it looks like with the queen. The name comes from an 1803 published German chess novel, Anastasia and the Game of Chess. Even though the pattern was also featured in Lolly's book in 1763, it was named after the main character of Heinz's book. Number 9. Arabian mate. This mate is also with a rook and a knight, or sometimes a queen, but the normal version is with a rook. The checkmate happens in a corner and looks like this. This is what it looks like with the queen. The name comes from a very old Arabian chess manuscript, which featured the pattern with the rook and the knight. It came from the old Arabian-Persian version of chess, where the rook and the knight were some of the most powerful pieces, because the queen didn't get its current move range yet. The Arabian mate is also considered one of the oldest documented checkmate patterns in history. Number 10. Suffocation mate. The suffocation mate is a mate with a bishop or queen and a knight. The bishop controls the escape squares of the king, and the knight delivers the mate. It's sometimes confused with the smothered mate we saw earlier, but there are two different mates. Here's another example. The mate is sometimes also called dragonfly mate, which comes from the German name for the mate, and is because visually the mate sometimes resembles a dragonfly with the bishop and knight set up. And there you go, 10 of the most important checkmate patterns you need to know. This list is of course not complete, so if I missed one of your favorites, you can drop them in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!